All right, we're back. It's been a while. School's been ramping up for everybody, so we only have a duo here today. Starting Five podcast. Before I begin, I want to shout out my boy Finn. He has asked to be on here, and we just decided to do this now. We're gonna get you on the next one for sure. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Shout out to Finn. Shout out to Skunks. Go get that EP. Baylor Mail. It's on SoundCloud. Anyway, we're gonna get into. We have a really really fun time today. Just me and Artin. Artin, say hi.
Hey, what's going on?
We have a really really fun episode today. It's Awards Day. It's Awards Day, hosted by Artin Garamani.
Oh, me, really?
He's like the Drake of the Richmond Hill, Thornhill area, pretty much. It's the same thing, you know. Yeah, we're gonna go through our news and then get to the awards, and it'll be fun because we get to shit on people, which is the best thing about basketball. Yeah, I'm really excited to do this. How about you, Arden? Before we go, I wanna ask you a personal question. Start it off. What do you think Infinity War is gonna be like, man? Are you thinking it's gonna be a top, in the elite Marvel movie? Is it going to be an elite Marvel movie? Not maybe the defining one, but one of the really good ones, like a Winter Soldier level, or do you think it's gonna be a flop?
I definitely don't think it's gonna be a flop because the Russo brothers, first they made Winter Soldier, which was really good, one of the best ones. Then they made Civil War, so they proved to me that they can make a good movie with a big cast of stars. So I don't think it's gonna be a flop. I think whether it's really good or not, it's gonna be defining because it's the first one with all the heroes, right? You don't have a movie like that with 40 heroes in it, so that'll be cool. But I can't imagine it being bad. I think there's just too much expectation on it for it to be bad.
Almost too big to fail. Also, I wanted to ask you. Most people have been saying that, just keeping on that quick topic of movies before we go, most people have been saying that Black Panther is one of the 3 or 2 best Marvel movies. I personally don't think that. I think it's just a decent one, and kind of a by the numbers one. Other than sort of the political aspect, I thought was pretty cool. What do you? I know you're a big Marvel guy. Where do you fit Black Panther in? Because it's it's a huge movie right now. Might as well talk about it. Where do you fit Black Panther in with?
I agree with you.
In the span. So if we can have let's say there's 4 tiers. There's the second Thor movie bottom tier. And there's the first Thor movie mid to bottom tier. And then there's the third Thor movie, which is really good. And then there's all the super elite ones, the Iron Man ones and the Winter Soldiers and stuff at the top. Where would you put it in those tiers?
This movie to me goes in the second tier. I don't want to bring down all the political aspects of it. I mean, there's no denying all that is great, super important. I'm a minority myself. I'm not black, but I am a minority, so that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I thought they dealt with politics within the film, especially the idea of colonialism and sort of relations and globalism.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was pretty cool, man. And it's should we be helping other people?
It was cool, and Michael B. Jordan's motivations made a lot of sense. It's just his plan didn't make sense. I think. I don't know.
I think he was definitely one of the best Marvel villains I've seen.
He was, but his plan was kind of stupid.
Yeah, but I think until the end when he started talking like he was in the anime, he sounded like a Dragon Ball Z guy at the end. But I thought his premise and his motivations were interesting. And it's with a lot of great Marvel movies, it's the villain is good because he's funny or he's entertaining, with Loki in the first one. But I think that other than the what's his name, Bucky in the Winter Soldier, that's the first one where I thought it was a serious, not outlandish villain where he was pretty good. All right, moving on to basketball because we just talked about that for 5 minutes. Let's get into the news, Arden.
All right, let's talk. Go. All right, first thing we're going to talk about today is some Lebron. Now LeBron is planning on playing
Hey,
82
wait,
games for the first time in his
hey,
career, which is pretty
right.
insane considering all the stuff he's done. He's never played 82 games, and he doesn't get injured either, so it's just rest. I think it's pretty cool. Mike, do you think that has any impact on his legacy?
I think that LeBron, this is offensively and as from a leadership standpoint, the last 2 months have been the defining moment of LeBron's regular season career. I think if we look at, there was a time where LeBron James was legitimately the second best player, like that had ever played the game. Like in 2013, he was the MVP and second defensive player of the year. He would switch from Tim Duncan to Tony Parker on possessions in the finals and be able to guard both of them. He was that good defensively. He is maybe with like guys like Ron Artest and modern day compares to be Draymond Green, but for people who just started watching basketball, LeBron James was just as good as he was on offense, and he was as good as Draymond Green is on defense at one point in his career. But he is now better at offense, and that's a result of him taking plays off on defense. And when you take plays off on defense, you're not going to get hit as much, and when you're not going to get hit as much, you end up playing more games, right? It's why James Harden doesn't get hurt. It's why Russell doesn't get hurt, right? These guys, when you're not constantly coming up and down the floor and taking contact, you have only half the chance of getting injured. And if you watch, a lot of defensive possessions end in injuries for the defending team because they're the ones getting hit. They're the ones landing awkwardly. Outside of people landing for layups, it's usually the defenders who get injured or a defensive rebounder or something like that. So, I mean, we already know LeBron he's LeBron. Like, he's gonna do things for his body that nobody else does to be able to play as much as he wants because he's eyeing that number one scoring spot because he knows he's never going to catch up to Michael Jordan for championships. So he, kind of assumes if he can get to the top and be like, the first 40,000 point scorer, then maybe he can be considered the greatest that way. But I mean, he's a tank, and I don't know. I think I could have just said he's a tank because what else is there to say about the guy that hasn't already been said? He's second best player that's ever played basketball. So yeah.
I found it a little surprising that he's never played 82 games just because he's so durable.
Yeah, but he always plays over 75 unless he's resting. So.
Well, 82 games, really not that big a deal. Something that is a big deal, LeBron has just become the first player to capture 10 straight division titles. I was a little surprised this hasn't been done before. I feel like 10 doesn't sound that many, but then I thought about it, and it is a lot. That's a lot to, especially on different teams.
Well, he's a dynasty by himself. Like if there's in the hypothetical situation that he goes to Philadelphia and it works, like him and Ben Simmons work, he could have a Russell level like dynasty where he wins like 10 or 11 conference championships in a row and dominates an entire decade of Eastern Conference basketball. I mean, you also look at the teams in his division and like the Southwest division, the Southeast division with Miami. There's not that many great teams in it. And the division he's in now, I mean, the Bulls I think are in it, and like that's the closest thing they have. I think this is kind of an overrated stat. Like, do we really know who wins divisions every year? Like, who cares, right? That's like, I feel like a division title is like the first step you take when like you in terms of being a great team. But like, if we're like, they don't mean anything playoff wise, and like the three best teams in the East are all in one division right now, like record wise.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and you know what's cool? If both the Timberwolves and the Nuggets could have made it to the playoffs, then every team in the Northwest Division would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think that if it's like if this was football and it was like you have to win your division to get in or you get a wild card spot, that's incredible. But who cares about divisions? When now the NBA used to do it that the division winners got at least a top 4 seed, and it was terrible because like the Suns would win 60 games, and then another team, the Lakers would win like 58 games, and the Lakers would be the 5 seed, and then there'd be like a 45 win Portland team in the 4 seed. So that wasn't the greatest. I like how they changed it, but I mean, as long as we're working towards 16 teams, no matter what conference, I'm happy because, man, I feel so bad for the Denver Nuggets right now or the Timberwolves. Like they would be a 6 seed in the East.
Yeah,
That's
true.
rough for them.
It doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter that much. But the bottom line is, it's a big indication of success, and so it's clear. It's clear from that LeBron is just successful. There's no other way to put it.
He's a winner, man. As much as people want to use that finals record against him, he is a winner. He wins things. When you have the two of the last 4 MVPs playing against you on the same team, it's hard to win. But he's a winner for every reasonable situation.
Yep. All right. Next bit of news: the Raptors have started campaigning for their entire bench to win the 6th man.
So dumb.
Can that even happen?
No, and here's why it's dumb. The first thing I want to say about it is this is the weirdest thing ever because the team that I compare this year's Raptors to every single day, which is the 2015 Hawks that won 60 games because they were 10 deep, they had a really good bench, they played really good team defense, and they shared the ball. Does that not sound like the exact same as what the Raptors are doing right now? They also campaigned for their entire bench to win 6th man of the year.
Did they actually?
Only the comparisons, but you can it's like when I don't know, people, if you're watching this or listening to this and you're not in Canada or you just didn't go to civics class, there was a thing where it was when the prime minister before our current prime minister Justin Trudeau, his name was Stephen Harper, he won 2 minority governments, so he didn't even have the Conservative Party didn't have the most people in it, but there were people on the left side of the political spectrum, and they were being split by the NDP, the New Democratic Party, like more of a socialist party, and the Liberal Party. So that way, they would get split votes, and then they would have an equal amount of votes, but all the right-wingers would vote for the Conservative Party. And that's basically what's going to happen here. Everyone's going to be like, oh, Artin's going to vote for Fred VanVleet. I'm going to vote for Pascal Siakam. Cole's going to vote for Jakob Poeltl. Because we got to get the whole bench up there.
And then Lou Will's going to win.
Lou Williams or Manu Ginobili. It's just it doesn't work that way. I think if they really, really wanted to win an award this year, either start pushing really hard for the Casey thing for Coach of the Year or push really hard for Fred VanVleet, who I think if there was an all-bench first team would be the starting point guard if you consider Lou Will like a starter or a combo guard. You put him at the other guard position. He's been great. So why don't you just, focus all your marketing into getting Fred VanVleet a chance at a 6th man award?
Did you see the pictures and stuff they did? It was like they were creating a player in a lab, and it was
they took that from this book. It's called Basketball and Other Things. I have it. It's by Shea Serrano, great writer. And he did a thing where he built his own player, so they took that. It's funny. I like Shea Serrano. Is funny. He said he wanted Larry Bird's chin because Larry Bird falls in the face so many times and never falls down. So he's like, I want that chin on my basketball player. So yeah, I saw that video. I think it's cute, but it's not going to win them anything. So.
But the stuff they took wasn't even that good. They took VanVleet's toughness, as if he's not maybe the best player on the bench. They took his toughness. DeLon is probably the most complete player on that bench, and they took his Euro step.
Yeah, they ran out of things to put by then.
It was ridiculous. All right, let's just move on. This is stupid. Kyrie is out for the playoffs. Most people are just scratching off the Celtics. I think that they could maybe get past the first round. Mike, what are your thoughts on the Celtics situation right now?
I still think they're an Eastern Conference Finals contender if the Sixers end up on the 3rd seed. If the Cavs end up there, they're just going to roll over them again. But here's the thing, right? Terry Rozier's done a fine job. He does not back down, so he's not going to be one of those chokers in the playoffs. He's kind of a killer mentality type guy. They'll draw the Heat or the Bucks in the 1st round. The Heat will give them a lot of problems, but it will come down because there's no established stars in that series. It'll be a chess match, and I think Brad Stevens can outcoach Eric Spoelstra, but it'll be tough. Then I give them a shot against the Sixers or the Bucks because both their best players are going to be really inexperienced, and I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown still have no chance of stopping LeBron James, but they have a chance of stopping Ben Simmons because he can't shoot, or Giannis because he's not that great of a shooter. He has a mid-range game now that nobody seems to want to talk about, but he can't hit a mid-range jump shot. But yeah, those guys, I think that they've got great coaching, they've got a deep bench, and they have that next man up attitude that's really, really impressive. Like it's what you want from your team. The culture is really good, and I don't know. I think they have a strong enough foundation organizationally to make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think that's where it caps. I think for Celtics fans, next year is going to be if LeBron doesn't end up in Philly or LeBron ends up in Philly and he can't figure it out with Ben, you guys you're gonna have your fair share of finals appearances in the next few years.
I don't see them losing the first round. I think they're gonna make it to the second round for sure.
Yeah. I worry about I know we're supposed to love Al Horford. He's Mr. Advanced stats, makes everyone around him better, system player type guy, but it took 2 games for Joel Embiid to figure out how Al Horford defends him and then went for 30 and 10. And shout out to all the Celtics fans that told me on Twitter for 2 months that Embiid could not score against Al Horford, and then as soon as he put up 30 and 10 on the Celtics, well, Al Horford guards Ben Simmons. He doesn't guard Embiid, but you guys got to pick a side, so I'm just going to say that,
How could anyone think Al Horford could stop Embiid?
Oh, well, when, I don't know. People think Al Horford can do a lot of things. He can't.
That's like saying I can stop LeBron.
He's a good listener. He listens to his coach and he goes to the spots. That's the extent of his ability.
All right. Well, it helps that it looks like Marcus Smart is going to be ready for the playoffs, so they have someone other than Rozier who can take that spot. I don't think he's going to make a huge difference for them, honestly.
I disagree. Marcus Smart is an entity, and he's a statistical anomaly. You watch him play, and he looks terrible. You look at his stats, and they're terrible. But when he is on the floor, the Celtics are a way better team. Like, his individual stats suck, but his plus-minus is great. The defensive rating and offensive rating when he's on is great. You can ask, there's, like I said, there's Celtic fans that are, enamored by him because he looks horrible and he's garbage to watch, but he always makes the team better. I think that the Sixers would not have a chance to beat these the Celtics and Marcus Smart plays because he just elevates people. I don't know what it is, but they're great with him. Their best times this year was when he was on, and their worst slumps was when he's been away. I don't know what it is, man. He's not even good. He's just like Marcus. He's like the he's like what Marcus Smart is what people tell me and you Al Horford is. Yeah, he looks awkward, but he's really good. That's Marcus Smart.
All right, well that's our news. We didn't do too much just because
not that much.
Just because we had such a long time in between, we can't really go through everything. So
yeah, we're gonna also have a bunch of stuff for the playoff preview in a couple days. We got quick uploads. Gotta please our 4 fans. Anyway, all right, now on to the first annual with a question mark at the end. Starting 5 podcast award season. Yeah. Artin's gonna put a sound in there, or he won't, and this will just be a sentence. Anyway, so we're gonna go through all the EA awards, and then we're gonna go through some special awards that we made up 15 minutes before we came on because we are a prepared and professional too. All right, Artin, who's your MVP and why?
My MVP is James Harden because he's by far the best player on the best team. I was going to say by far the best team, but it's not that far. It's kind of far. He's putting up insane stats. He's just a monster. And I mean, people are talking about how LeBron should be winning it. I mean, the Cavs aren't that good. So. Shut
up, man. You said that last year too, bro. You said that last year too.
I said the Cavs aren't that good? Well, in the regular season, we're not that good. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And, I get LeBron did everything for them, but, Harden is the best player on the best team. And I think that's it. And I think last year Harden should have won it, and they gave it to Westbrook for stats. And I think if you gave it to LeBron this year, it would be for pretty much the same reason. And that was realistically a mistake last year. So for me, my MVP is James Harden.
All right. Yeah. For MVP, like I was Harden until the last few games of the season when like I don't know, just the run by Marshawn Brooks of the Memphis Grizzlies, he just took it away. I mean, like the race for Doncic, he is a spoiler in that. Nah, it's Harden, man. I've loved Harden for so long. He's always been one of my favorite players because I wish I had the ability to fake being athletic and through my own smarts because he's not very athletic. He's just so smart. And he just cheats, basically. He's the closest thing to like cheating in basketball that you can do. And I love it. And people hate it. People really hate James Harden. But he's the MVP. He averaged 30 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists. He has been the best. He's had the best individual performance by a player on a winning team. Russell Westbrook is going to cheese his way to rebounds and average another triple-double. But all Russell Westbrook has done this year is prove why last year James Harden should have been the MVP.
Yeah,
because
right.
they gave him great help, and what happened?
Nothing.
The same thing. So James Harden elevates. He knows how to play with players, and you can build a team around James Harden that can seriously compete for a championship. And you can only say that about a very select few of players who have spent that. You can say that about LeBron. You can say that about Steph Curry. Sorry. And then I would say James Harden's the only one who, if they make a run to the finals, you can say, okay, if you could win a championship with James Harden, your team built around James Harden. So I got to give it to him. He's been incredible this year. All right, so next up, we have the Defensive Player of the Year. This is an interesting one. I like a lot of guys. Who do you got?
I've got Gobert just because he came back from injury and the Jazz won a million games. I had him on my fantasy team. He was getting like 4 or 5 blocks, tons of rebounds. I think he's just. I read a stat the other day that people are shooting something around 50% in the restricted area against him, which is absolutely insane. That makes no sense to me. Yeah, he's just crazy good. He knows what he's doing, and so he's the choice for me.
I gotta agree with you there once again. I had him beat the whole year, and my argument for was once Gobert got back and started he's still got a little bit of ways to go on the switch because he doesn't Utah will not switch that much with him on the floor because he's not that great at coming out and guarding guards. But when you play against Rudy Gobert, unless you have one of 2 players, and one of them is Joel Embiid, the other one is Anthony Davis, and your center is not going to be able to score. And even those 2 guys have trouble sometimes. So what Gobert has been able to do is been such a good defender that he's like a gifted passer, but on defense. Like his defensive ability makes everyone else's defensive ability better. He's helped by some great schemes by Quinn Snyder, who's a dark horse Coach of the Year candidate in my opinion. And he has created the best defense in the league by himself because you have to shoot jump shots. If you come in his house, he's going to kick you out. He's a great shot blocker. He's ridiculously smart. He's a special rim protector. I don't think we've seen one this good since I don't even know, man. I remember maybe since Dwight. He's not as good as Dwight, but he's the best defender in the paint since that prime Dwight Howard era.
Yeah, he's crazy.
All right. I just want to say I was doing a lot of. I was interested in seeing who's going to get the first team all defense, and I did a bunch of research on defense. So here's my all defense first team. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, let's hear it.
At number 1, at the point guard position, I got Drew Holiday. Or there's 2 guards. So the first guard I have is Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is 6'5", and he guards the best perimeter player no matter what. He guards LeBron James. He guards Paul George. He guards Kevin Durant, and he does a great job. He's and people gave him a lot of flack for getting that big contract he gave the Hornets, but he's giving you 20 a night in elite defense. He's point guard Klay Thompson basically on that team. The other guard, I know this is going to be a little bit controversial because he's young. I got DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is incredible at defense. I think he's second or first in deflections. He's got those long arms. He's a great defender. He's got like people talk about Lonzo Ball's ability to kind of hide in the lane and just play great team defense. DeJounte has got all that plus great on-ball defense. He can guard 1 through 3, and once he gets stronger, he could be legitimately as good as Kawhi at defense. I'm not kidding. My 2 forwards would be Robert Covington, who by the way is second in defensive win shares. Gobert is first, who's obviously my starting center, and then my other starting forward would most likely be Paul George, just because he's been such a great guy with what's it called? He's been a great stealer of the ball, and he's been worse since Roberson went down. But Roberson probably would have been my other first team forward if Roberson hadn't gone down.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, that's my first team. Shout out to Robert Covington turning into the god level 3-and-D player. I love you. Yeah. All right, moving on. The most hotly contested, the most fun award this year, Rookie of the Year. There's only really 2 since Jason Tatum fell off, even though I do believe Jason Tatum is going to be amazing one day. It's gone down to 2 guys, and it's funny. I think it's really cool that we're kind of getting the heir apparents to Dwayne Wade and LeBron James in the same year, just like they were. And they're also the same ages as Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were when they came into the league. Ben came into the league earlier, but like I said, he came into the league younger than LeBron, and Dwayne Wade came into the league a year older than LeBron, and Donovan Mitchell's a year older than Ben Simmons. So Artin, who you got?
I got Ben Simmons, but I know you love Ben Simmons, so I'll leave that to you. I'll talk about Donovan Mitchell just for the sake of having some contrary opinions.
No, actually, I have something to say about this, so you can talk about whoever you want.
All right, I'll talk about Ben Simmons then. I remember we did rookie choices earlier in the year, and I talked about all the stats. I talked about how Ben Simmons has been first in everything. Well, he's taken it to another level. He's started getting triple-doubles every game now. He played amazing against LeBron, beat the Cavs, and the fact that he could show up like that in a big game and kind of carry the team to that victory is amazing. He's getting better and better every day, and I think if he can develop a good shot, then there's nothing you can do against this player. And I think Donovan Mitchell is more exciting as a player, just more running around and dunking and stuff, but Ben Simmons looks so established and he looks like he's been in the league for 15 years because he's just so he's such a solid, complete player. So for me, it's Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love the Sixers, so I give it to Ben, but I firmly believe that Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell at one point are going to be the 2 best players in the NBA. I am in love with both of these guys. They're amazing. Donovan Mitchell, his ability to carry an offense is like I said, D Wade and Kobe. He can get a ball from anywhere on the court. He's dangerous from anywhere on the court. He's a killer. He's got that killer instinct. 40-point game, 30-point games in his rookie year. You know who the last 20-point per game rookie was? Kevin Durant.
Oh.
And then it was Melo and LeBron. So that's how real it is. He's that good. He's a great scorer inside the paint. He uses his body well. He's going to be an elite defender. He's already a good defender. His calling coming out of college is that he's going to be a good defender. But nobody saw this offense coming. But Donovan Mitchell is so special, and I love the way he plays. And I think when he inevitably leaves Utah to sign on a max contract with the Sixers in 7 years, I'm going to be so happy. But I mean, you already talked about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is already one of the 20 best players in the league. I don't care what anyone says. I'm taking Ben Simmons over Draymond Green any day of the week at this point in their careers. He's just a special player. Sometimes I watch him and my jaw drops. Especially that game against what's it called? The Cavs first quarter when he was dancing with the he did a little one hand through the bat, one hand through the legs, and pass it off. He did like another one where he blew by LeBron. Like he just looks like he looks like he already knows that he's going to be one of the best players of all time, and he honestly might go down as exactly that. He's just got something new. Like something underrated about Ben Simmons this year is that he's developed a post repertoire throughout the season. He has a hook shot now. He has a little fadeaway now. Like, he has been developing, so I like it. All right. Next up, we don't have to suck him off for that long. He's sixth man of the year. Do we have to talk about this one?
Are we saying Lou Will?
Like, I think with Lou Will and most improved, like, do we need to talk about either?
Who do you have for most improved? I don't think
there's any debate about it. It's Oladipo.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
There's nobody else. Like,
we can still talk about them. I think
14 to 25 a game.
I think Lou Will.
I don't know. I feel like. Okay, then let's do this. Will Lou Will or Victor Oladipo be unanimous in their decisions? Do you think they're gonna be a unanimous MIP or a unanimous sixth man?
I think Tyreke Evans might get some votes in either category, really.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's great that Tyreke Evans was like, can you please trade me? I really don't want to be on this god-awful team.
And no one wanted him.
No, they wanted him, but they were like, we're not giving you a first-round pick for a guy that can walk after this year. So the Memphis kept him, and then he literally went, well, you guys didn't trade me, then I'm just not going to play. And he just hasn't played since. Like, that's incredible to me. Like, he literally was like, you didn't trade me? Well, I'm going home. See, bye. And just left. And they were like, whatever, helps the tank. So,
well, he was my favorite player on my fantasy team. So,
I think with this like thing that goes on these awards, they're tough because these are more awards where like favoritism is more popular. So it's like MVP. It's like right now, James Harden could win a unanimous. You could have won a unanimous MVP. I played the last week, and I like the LeBron guys are coming back out, but someone's gonna pick, some writer from Boston is gonna, Marcus Smart for the sixth man award, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some guy from, Philadelphia is gonna pick Joel Embiid for his most improved because before he was only playing this many, now he's got this many, right? And I feel like because of that, it's gonna start like there won't be a unanimous one, but I think that this year I feel like it's more clear cut because like I think since Jimmy Butler, I don't think we've seen such a improvement. Like Oladipo is now like a legitimate top 15. Like he's led a team with no other stars to probably the second round, unless they see Cleveland. Because I think they beat Philadelphia. As much as I like Philadelphia, I'm most scared of Indiana. And they're the scariest team because they have so much. They have Oladipo and they have shooters and they have Miles Turner. Like they're a scary team. But yeah.
They have a chance of winning every game.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, like Lou Will, the same thing's gonna happen. But man, Lou will have 50 points in a basketball game, and he comes off the bench. Like, give me a break.
It's Lou.
All right.
It's Lou.
Last one. This is the one where I'm sure we are not going to agree.
Oh, really?
Coach of the year.
I think you'll be surprised. Because I'm not gonna say Dwayne Casey. I know you think I'm gonna say Dwayne Casey.
You gonna say Brad?
I think we're gonna agree. I'm gonna say Brad because.
As much as I like Brad, I'm not going with Brad.
No way. Okay, well, I'm saying Brad. Brad has had like the hardest year ever, and they're the second seed. So because of that, I mean, it's just because of his system. Because no matter who you throw in there, then they're gonna win no matter what, right? So I have to give it to Brad. Their system is just too good. He's an amazing coach. He's really, really good. So I give it to him.
I'm not taking anything away from him. He's the second best coach in basketball, easily. He is the heir apparent to the next great group of coaches, and he's probably going to be the next, one of those generational guys that wins a bunch of rings and is just generally considered the best coach. But talk about injuries. Greg Popovich has done it again. And there's just voter fatigue. Right? We could vote him coach of the year every year. he's the best coach every year. Artin was out, Pau Gasol was out, DeJounte was out, Patty Mills was out, Tony Parker was out, Manu Ginobili was out. That's every single person that plays minutes on that team at one point. They are the 5th seed. They don't have a guy. Their best player plays like it's 2002. He sits in on the high post and shoots jump shots. It's like the worst shot you can take. Starting point guard is 21 years old and he can't shoot. They've got a combo guard coming off the bench who does nothing but shoot threes. They've got an old balding man as their 6th man. They've got you can make a literal debate that their second best player right now is Danny Green. And they're in the 5 spot, and they're going to win a playoff series if they play Oklahoma City or Utah. Like, he's done what Brad was done with less talent. Because, like, you have to remember, the Celtics struggled when their best players were out, but it's like they had Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum all step up. Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are all better than, like, the top. I think only I'd say LaMarcus is better than Jaylen Brown on that roster as individual talent at this point in his career. Because like Rudy Gay was better, but he's washed now. Same with Pau Gasol. So like, this is Popovich's greatest coaching job is going to get 49 wins with a team that cannot play. A bunch of role players, has-beens, D-leaguers. He's incredible. He's the greatest coach that's ever lived in basketball history. And he deserves it this year more than any year, even though it's like, you know, how LeBron and Jordan kind of deserve it every year. MVP, when, you know, the great players, this is one of those things where he should get it this year, even though he deserves it every year.
It's a pretty good point. I feel like no one's been talking about him this year.
I mean, it's crazy because it's like it's just expected, right? It's the Spurs.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, man, you know how crazy that is? That your expectation is to win 50 games no matter what every year. Like, that's insane stand to live up to. Like, he would have, if the Spurs finished with 60 wins, like, that's the greatest coaching of all time. Yeah. The greatest coaching season. But, you know, he did what he could with the talent he had. Okay, now on to our special awards. All right, Artin. Who is the league's most overrated player this year?
Al Horford. Next question.
Do you want to think about it for a little bit longer?
No.
Why is that? Tell me
he's
why.
He's not a good basketball player. Maybe he's good at table tennis. I'm putting the table tennis picture in again here. Yeah, he's a table tennis player. He's not a basketball player. He needs to get off the basketball court.
I respect it. For the last, 5 years, the most overrated player in the league was Blake Griffin. But now everyone knows Blake Griffin sucks. So, shout out to him. I got one. People are going to be mad. The most overrated player in basketball is Karl-Anthony Towns. Everybody keeps telling me, oh, he's generational. He's the best big man in the league. He's top 10. He's approaching top 5 best players in the league. When Jimmy Butler is not in the lineup, the Timberwolves are not a playoff team with a top 10 player. Name another top 10 player on a non-playoff team right now. You can't. They're about to, if Jimmy hadn't come back from his injury early, which, by the way, could fuck him up way longer, Cat blows this, but people just keep giving him excuses of he's young. He's 1 year older than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is the 3rd seed in the East with 50 wins. Like, that, he's a year younger than Embiid. Embiid is actually one of the 10 best players in the NBA, and he dominates. Karl-Anthony Towns is really fun to watch. He's really skilled. He's great, but he's not as good as everyone tells me he is. I mean, if he loses tomorrow night, right? Or whenever we release this tonight, yesterday, whatever. You cannot even say he's better than Jokic. Because Jokic, without another All-Star, would beat his team. He's not going to lose because the Timberwolves are going to blow the Nuggets. But if he lost that game, Jokic isn't top 10, so why is Cat top 10? I put him in, I put Cat below Cousins. I put him below Davis. I put him below Embiid. And then he's, where Jokic and Gobert are, in my opinion. He's, the 4th to 6th best center or big man in the NBA, in my opinion. I don't think he's anywhere close to what people say.
Well, you're wrong because the answer is Al Horford, but those are some good points.
Al Horford. Okay, I have a question though. Would you rather, if you had 3 bullets in a room,
I would shoot Al Horford 3 times.
Okay, but what if Serge Ibaka was also in the room?
Serge Ibaka's been good recently. Apparently I heard that he went to Lowry and DeRozan and he was like, guys, I can't shoot. You guys gotta help me. And ever since then, he's been shooting really well. So
imagine being Serge Ibaka at 49 years old and going to like 20-year-olds to out your shot. Serge Ibaka is definitely like 50. Like there's no way you're in your like athletic and intellectual prime at 22 and terrible at 29. Like he's at least 10 years older than what he says. I refuse to believe he's that young. Anyway, now we're gonna move on. Flip it. Be positive. Who is the most underrated player in the league?
Most underrated player in the league is DeLon Wright, of course. He doesn't get headlines because Fred VanVleet is shooting threes all over the place and he's getting all the points and stuff. But the fact is, he is an extremely complete player. He's really, really good at getting to the rim. He's an excellent perimeter defender. He's a great passer. I'd argue the only thing VanVleet is better at is shooting. And no one really talks about DeLon. I think he's worth talking about.
Okay, well, you're wrong because there's a much more underrated player, and his name is Dario Saric.
I don't think he's that underrated. People like him a lot.
People don't give him his due. Dario Saric is the only if Dario Saric wasn't on the Sixers, they would have like 6 or 7 less wins. There are so many possessions where Embiid can't get positioning and Simmons can't do anything. They just throw to him and he goes and gets a bucket. Like he's going to be such an important. He's going to be an all-star in my opinion. If the Sixers have one of those years where they win like 67, 68 games in like the absolute prime of Embiid and Simmons, Saric could average and make the all-star game. Like he could be as good as in like the power forward position as Clay or Draymond is in their positions in terms of their roles on a team. Like he could be that all-star that isn't as great as the superstar on your team. He's great, and I watch a lot of Sixers. I would also want to shout out my boy Gary Harris, 23 years old, averaging 18 points a game. Great defense, 2 steals a game. You are very underrated. I love you, but I gotta go with Dario Saric. I don't know, like the fact that we talk about Andrew Wiggins and not him is annoying. The fact that we talk about Jabari Parker and him is annoying.
Yeah,
all these young dudes, they're not as good as him. He's 23 years old, averaging 16 and 7 for a playoff basketball team, an elite playoff basketball team in the East, a team that some people say is going to reach the Eastern Conference Finals, and someone that I say is going to get to the finals because when the playoffs come, LeBron shrinks under the sight of big men rim protecting like Roy Hibbert in 2014. And Tim Duncan, and Andrew Bogut. So, Joel Embiid, the process, Dario Saric, he's the foreign process, and the foreign process is worth watching.
I mean, the foreign process is Embiid.
No. Just want that here. All right. Okay, so in general, any story, team, player, whatever, what's the biggest surprise for you this year?
Biggest surprise for me this year is the Raptors. I know you're going to get mad about that. I know you're going to be mad about that.
Bro, Kawhi Leonard is pretending to be injured. Like, the Grizzlies had 2 All-Stars at the beginning of this year and have won, like, 10 games.
Yeah, well, the All-Stars have been injured. Come on. No one really expected the Grizzlies to be good.
People have them at, like, the 8th spot. They went 6 with the Spurs last year with like the same roster minus Zach Randolph.
I don't know. Like to me, it's the Raptors. I'm not saying that the Raptors were gonna be bad and now they're good or whatever. No one expected them to completely change what they do, right? Dwayne Casey completely changed the team's style. They're passing it now. They weren't passing it before. I mean, we were calling for Dwayne Casey to be out, and now no one's really talking about him anymore. He's up for Coach of the Year in some people's mind. It's a pretty crazy turnaround to me. That's why I choose him. So I guess Dwayne
All right,
Casey, maybe
first of
not the
all,
Raptors.
still sucks. He's still garbage because he made this whole new system only to put the ball in Kyle Lowry's hands at the end of games and then watch him choke them just like always.
No,
Well, you
Kyle
know what
Lowry doesn't
Casey
choke.
did at the end of the All-Star game? He
Well,
sagged off DeMar DeRozan, his player, because he knew he couldn't make an ISO shot.
come on.
That's and he still does it.
That was not DeRozan's fault, man. That was Curry's fault.
Oh, not at the end. Like there was another play, the play before that. DeRozan ISO'd, and he was like, Durant, get off him, because he knew he wasn't gonna score, and he still does it. I don't know what he's doing.
Dude,
Anyway,
DeRozan is third in clutch points this year.
We're gonna fight about the Raptors next time. I'm not gonna get into that now, because I'm gonna tell you why they're trash and they're gonna lose to the Heat in the first round in like 3 days. Anyway, the biggest surprise of this year was not Kawhi, wasn't the Grizzlies, it wasn't the Jazz, it was the Cavs. The Cavs have a completely different roster than they did at the beginning of the year. They have been ridiculous. LeBron's been terrible. He's been amazing. Well, he hasn't been terrible. He has been good, and then he's been amazing. They had a crazy saga with Isaiah Thomas. Jay Crowder hated being there. Like, they got all these new guys. Everyone said they're going to be the best team in the league because they got Larry Nance. And, it's been a ride. Like, it feels like a movie. And we're in, like, the really long second act of, like, a 7-hour movie. Like, it's just really strange, in my opinion, that everything that's going on, the surprise that, and the fact that they're still like gonna be a home court advantage team is so weird to me. I don't know. It's just been, JR was throwing soup at people.
Yeah, that's right.
Starts lucky.
Yeah,
Jose
you're right.
Calderon.
That's a bit. Sometimes you forget about the obvious ones, you know.
Yeah, well, Jose Calderon is 24-9 when they start him. So that's just the great way to sum up the season. Anyway, moving on to a much more fun topic. Who's the worst starter in basketball?
The worst starter in basketball. Can I say my least favorite starter in basketball?
The person you think is the worst at basketball out of all the starters in the NBA.
Well, look, the easy answer for me would be Serge Ibaka. But I don't want to say that. If you go first, I'm going to think about the bad teams, and then I'm going to come up with someone.
Okay, well, I was surprised you didn't say Al Horford.
You're right.
But the worst, I don't know if he still starts, but I think he started some games this year. The worst starter, or the worst rotation player, or whatever you want to say, is also the worst player in the league, Evan Turner. Evan Turner is on a 50-win team, and he has a -3 net rating. Do you know how hard that is? That's like an achievement. Your team is winning more games than they're losing, and you still are on the floor for more losing than winning. Like, that's almost impressive to be that bad. Evan Turner is being paid $78 million to do absolutely nothing but make the Blazers worse at basketball. I don't know why they signed him. He was terrible in Boston, and the only reason he was half decent because of Brad Stevens. He has been absolutely horrible this year. He was horrible last year. He cannot play defense. He cannot play offense. We joke about Al Horford. Evan Turner is quite literally the worst player in the NBA, minutes or not. Watching him play basketball is akin to getting waterboarded. It is the worst thing ever. He comes on the floor when I'm watching the Trailblazers, and it hurts. Like, my heart sinks. Because I'm like, now I have to watch something else. If you came in and I was watching Evan Turner highlights for some reason, and you were like, what are you watching? I'd pull my dick out and be like, I'm watching incest porn. Like, it's so bad. Anyway, you can go. I'm just mad now. I hate Evan Turner. Man.
Look, I don't have a great answer. Zaza starts. He still starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Zaza Pachulia. He just injures people and then goes on the bench. What are you doing, man? Come on. The Warriors, I mean, I know they don't have cap space, but surely they can get someone better than Zaza Pachulia.
Jordan Bell will be the starter next year until he needs a real contract.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Zaza. I feel like that's a good answer.
Shout out to Omer Cassidy, signed there. Thought he was getting the easy ring, and they just cut him. So Shout out to you, Omri. You suck. Move on. This is the Donovan J. Mitchell award for biggest snub of an award this year, for most likely the biggest snub. Who do you have?
I think we both have Donovan Mitchell. LeBron is a close second because he really should be considered for MVP this year. But Donovan Mitchell is the biggest snub. Any other year, you're gonna give Rookie of the Year to a 20-point per game rookie, but Ben Simmons has just been so good. I feel bad, honestly. It sucks because he deserves Rookie of the Year, but Ben Simmons is just that much better.
I think that they should just take the Rookie of the Year from Malcolm Brogdon from last year. Malcolm Brogdon is Derek Fisher, number 2. Like, come on. Anyway, I don't really think we need to dwell on that much. All right, now a great thing that we came up with. Who is the league's most fundamentally sound basketball player? Who just really strokes that nice youth development basketball part of your brain? No pedo. You just watch it and you go, wow, that guy definitely listens to his coach and works hard. Well, me, it's Jokic. Jokic has 8 dunks this year, and he averages like 16, 10, and 5. Like, he is the least flashy, outside of some touch passes. He's like the most boring scorer, most boring rebounder, fat, clumsy, awkward. Like, he's horrible to watch out there, but he's great and fundamentally sound. That's why he's one of the, he's a future all-star.
This is the kind of thing where I wish Kawhi played, because this is such a Kawhi award.
Yeah. That's why we'll call it the Kawhi. We'll call it the Kawhi Leonard.
Okay. All right. That's cool. If I'd have to go with Klay Thompson. He is an excellent shooter, good defender.
Oh, baby.
Pretty much it. He's just that. I mean, that's all he really does, right? Fundamentals. He doesn't really do anything else. And off the court, that's the only place that we see nonsense from Kawhi Leonard. On the court, he is a no-nonsense player. As I always say about him, no nonsense whatsoever. And that's why we love him. So I'm going to give it to Klay Thompson.
I like it. I mean, Klay, if we could give Klay every award, I'd be happy. All right. Moving on. The fantasy sleeper of the year. What fantasy player do you think went under the radar and ended up producing at a super high level?
The answer is I picked up Tyreke Evans off the waivers. And he was potentially my best player, literally. He was ridiculously good, filled up every single stat. And I picked him off the waivers. That's insane. So I'm gonna go with him for sure. I mean, honestly, I was extremely lucky with him. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lauri Markkanen. I picked him up off waivers early in the season, and a lot of people thought he'd be a project because he's a tall white guy, and that's usually what projects are. But man, 15 and 8 every game. Was the Bulls' best player this year, and he's gonna be really good. He's gonna be. I think he's one of those guys where it's like he could make an all-star team. He's like a Kevin Love. Like, he'll be an all-star, but he can't carry a team. But like, if you give him if he's like your second or third best player, you got a real shot at making the finals. I really like him, and he was great in fantasy this year.
He's a future winner of the next award.
He's a future winner of the next award, the White Man of the Year. Artin, who's your favorite white man in the NBA?
My favorite white man in the NBA is Joe Ingles.
Oh my God, bro.
It's easy to say Kevin Love. It's easy to say Jokic. It's easy to say Korver. It's easy to say Hayward. Joe Ingles is just a fun player to watch. He just hits the three, just plays a completely normal game. He looks like he fits in. He's really important for Donovan Mitchell's success because of how much he spaces the floor. It makes it way easier for Donovan Mitchell to do what he does. And I think he's such an important part of that team that I'm going to give it to him. I feel like that team would be in a completely different place without him.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with someone else. And I'm going to go with the greatest white man on the planet. And maybe the winner of our next award as well. Manu Ginobili.
Ooh.
40 years old, still giving people the business. He's been averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists over the last 5 games. He's been a great bench guy all year. He's a leader. He develops the young guys. I love him. I love Manu. I love you so much. Please. I love you so much. You're my favorite white person outside of, like, the guys in Radiohead. I love Manu. Yeah. I think I said it like 40 times, but I really do. He's really a great guy. And he's a great player, and he's a Hall of Famer, even though he's only made 2 All-Star games. Okay, moving on. Speaking of Manu, he is also my winner for the next one. The best old man. Manu has easily been the best old man. And by old man, we're saying over 35 years old. I think Manu has been great as an old person. He has been playing like he's 35 instead of 40, and he's a big reason. He's a closer still for the Spurs, and he's a big reason that they're going to still be in the playoffs. Shout out to him for bringing it for Pop. I love it.
I give it to Manu as well, just because he's basically the second option on that team, despite coming off the bench and being old as hell. And I mean, he's showed up kind of. For the most part, he's done what he needs to do. So I'm gonna give it to him. Vince Carter's also been pretty good. Dirk has been pretty much the same as every year, which is unexpected. But I'm gonna give it to Manu. Oh, did you hear Dirk said he's coming back next season?
Yep, getting surgery, coming back. I love it. I feel like he's just a good guy for young people to have. Anyway, yeah, I watch Manu ball in the playoffs. He's gonna come. Try to lift that Spurs team at least one round in. All right. So next up, we have a very special award. It's the award that signifies the players that we love most. The 3-and-D players. Who's your 3-and-D player of the year?
I think everyone's 3-and-D player of the year is Klay Thompson. An excellent, maybe the best 3-point shooter, and a really, really, really good perimeter defender. What else can you say about him? Unless we're talking about off the court, in which case you can say a lot of stuff about him.
Well, unfortunately, this year Klay has been hurt.
So you don't want to give it to him?
I can't give it to him, Martin.
Wow. I can't believe it.
The truth. I have to give it to the 3-and-D king of this year, Mr. Lord Robert Covington.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
First all defense this year. Count on it. One of the best defenders in the league. You watch him play, and you can tell he knows he can guard anyone in the league. If there's anybody in the East with the body type to stop him that isn't Giannis, to stop LeBron, it's Robert Covington. He's big, he's strong, he's able to guard 1 through 4 pretty easily. He's a great help defender, he's a great on-ball defender. He's first in the league, I think, in deflections. Him and DeJounte are close. And he's just been an incredible defender. And then on the 3-point, he's been shaky from 3 month to month, but usually he's shooting around 37, 38%. He can dip down to 33 to up to 41. But he's been down this really stretch. He's really took his game back up. He's had a couple 30-point games, a bunch of 20-point games this year. He's been that guy that just spaces the floor so far because you can't leave him alone. His shot doesn't use a lot of lift, so he doesn't have to use his legs as much, which means he can shoot for longer, and he won't be as tired after playing defense. Real nice, effortless release. Smooth, no hitches in it. He's going to be great for a long time. I don't think he's as good as Klay, but Klay's been hurt, and he's been kind of bored because they've won 2 of 3 championships. They're just waiting for the playoffs to start. Covington's been hungry. He's been mean. He's been aggressive. He's hustled hard. He was an undrafted player signed by the Houston Rockets D-League team 4 years ago. Now he's one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA talent-wise, and he performed the best out of all 3-and-D players this year. But I do want to shout out Otto Porter, who has turned himself into more than a 3-and-D player this year. I'm going to miss you from our family of 3-and-D players, but I'm happy that you've moved on. All right. The final award, which is honestly kind of anticlimactic, is the Best Player Award. Not the MVP. Who's the best player in the league? Artin, who's the best player in the league?
The best player in the league is LeBron James. Goes without saying. He's shooting better. He's rebounding better. He's getting more assists than ever. He's a tank. He's unstoppable. He carried the bad Cavs teams so that they wouldn't fall into the depths of the league. He's carrying the good Cavs team so that they're working their way up the standings again. They still have a chance to finish third. He's LeBron James. I don't know what else to say about him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I agree with you, and I feel like we get so caught up in, criticizing LeBron and trying to pick flaws from his game, just denying the fact that we're fortunate enough to watch like the best player since Michael Jordan, best basketball player since Michael Jordan, right? And I know there's people who think Kobe's better than him. Kobe's not better than him. Kobe has 2 rings that he won without the most dominant force in the history of basketball, where he was the second best player on the team. Duncan, you could say, might be better than him, but Duncan was benefited by the greatest coach and system of all time. LeBron James is multi-generational. He's Magic and Jordan. If he didn't have free throw problems and he didn't have those little blemishes in 2011 and 2015 and that finals record on his resume, he may very well be the greatest player of all time. Sometimes I think about this. If he had been drafted one spot later, right, in the NBA draft, if he had been drafted number 2, he would have gone to the Detroit Pistons, who won the championship that year. They made the Eastern Conference Finals 4 years in a row after that. If LeBron James had been given a team like that, what would his legacy look like now? If he was given a great coach and great players to play with, would he have 7 championships? 6 championships? We know he would have had at least 3. But would he have been able to? Would that have changed his legacy? But it's something I like to think about. But that kind of takes away from the fact that he is arguably the greatest basketball player in the history of the sport, and there's only one of those. And it's been a lot of basketball players, the second biggest sport in the world, and he's better than every single one of them right now, and it's to be commended. All right, that wraps up our awards. Hot take for the week, Artin.
My hot take for the week is Philly's really confident right now. I think maybe they don't know what's coming in the playoffs because of their lack of experience. They're going to go down in the first round.
Well, my hot take is similar. I believe that the Washington Wizards are going to have a inter-team brawl during the first round of the playoffs against the Toronto Raptors, because the Washington Wizards are the only first-round team in the bottom 4 that would lose to the Toronto Raptors in a 7-game series. Anyway, thank you for listening if you made it all the way through. Thank you for listening if you just listened to part of it. Thank you for clicking on this video if you clicked on it. We love you. I want to shout out Cole, Noah, Zarek, Hadi, all the guys that are supposed to be on here. I don't think has Zarek been on yet.
No, Zarek hasn't been on yet.
We got exams. I don't really I have a lighter course load. Arden's not done classes yet, so we were able to get on here and do a quick one. Thank you for like I said, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And I really enjoyed this one. This was a fun one. We'll be back pretty soon with a playoff predictions one. Playoff predictions episode. I have the bracket up and everything, and it'll be fun. And long live Marshawn Brooks.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.